everyone. I'm Amy. I'm an NPC bikini competitor, and I'm also a nutritional therapy practitioner. And this is my 2025 prep vlog. We are less than 5 weeks out, just about a month out from my show, which is just nuts. But I am excited, and in the intro this week, I'm going to talk about the feedback from my coach and anything I know that I have planned coming up for this week. But without further ado, if you did miss what I sent my coach for my check-in last week, so last week I talked about my midweek check-in in the intro, and then in the outro I talked about my end of the week check-in, and you can find that linked here. But I will talk about what Tommy sent me for feedback. So I had asked, it was like a little bit of a cliffhanger, am I going to have cardio added back in or not? I told him that, or I said, I'm assuming we're adding cardio back because my weight was up a little bit. I don't think I mentioned that in last week's video. I was actually up about 2 pounds, or about 1.5 pounds-ish from the week before. So I was expecting that cardio was coming back, but he said, no cardio for 2 more days. I want another check-in in 2 days. And he said, let me know your thoughts on the Olympia. So, you guys know my thoughts from last week's video. And I said, oh gosh, I feel like Samson looked like he did at the Arnold, weirdly washed out in his abdomen, but he definitely improved his conditioning in his upper body. I think if he can tighten up for finals, he might be able to pull it off. If not, might be as low as 3rd. Well, we all know that he got 4th. He came back better, but so did everybody else. So he actually, in the scorecards, I think he actually placed a little bit worse at finals than he did at prejudging. But either way, he was still in 4th for both. I said I was impressed with Derek and Hadi. Nick was disappointingly blocky, especially in the lineup. And that's what is so interesting about bodybuilding in general, is that they're judging you, but they're also judging you in how you look amongst everyone else around you. And Nick definitely was the standout, and not in a good way. I said I was super impressed with Martin. It's his best his presentation has ever been. No excessive sweating, and he stayed composed the entire time, and his waist and conditioning was spot on with a tiny waist. He did. Martin looked so good. He said Samson was good, a slightly smaller version, but good, somewhat almost flat. And Tommy was there, so he saw this, and they were sitting really close, so he saw it up close. He said Hadi was absolutely insane. I'm obsessed. Nick was bad, sorry, but he was bad. Martin and Brandon both impressed me. People sleep on Brandon, and he's been good for so damn long, and he has. He's been amazing, and I thought he looked great too. I said I also thought Brandon looked great and really held up his own in the top 8. And I completely agree about Derek. So he asked me, please start tracking PM weights for me. You can just text them to me every night. We're going to start moving to basically every other day check-ins. And I said, will do. I said, I've never taken evening weights before, but I will start. He said, great info for us to have, only in prep, doesn't matter any other time. I said, yes, I have been mentally preparing myself for not letting the PM weight number get to me because I assumed that it would be something you would ask for eventually. And that is something that I know most coaches do ask for. I've not ever had a coach ask for it in the past, but I know that most coaches do. And because Tommy and I have been so closely monitoring things like sodium and water, I did assume that this was coming. So I have been thinking a lot about it and just like mentally preparing myself for, again, just not letting that evening number get to me, because I know it will be higher. I mean, you can manipulate your weight pretty easily in a short period of time by doing something like drinking a gallon of water and then hopping back on the scale. Like, the things we put in our body have physical weight to them. Our body burns off a lot of what we eat, and we urinate out waste, but in the interim, it does add weight to the scale. It's not adding weight to our body, but it is something that it will add weight to the scale. He said, yep, don't even think about it. But he was like that at first too. Just step on the scale and text me the number. It's that easy. He asked me to increase my vitamin C a little bit, as long as it doesn't bother my stomach. And I said it doesn't. And then I asked, do you think there's any benefit to adding in liquid L-carnitine? I don't want to use the injectable because I've heard too many horror stories of pain and abscesses. A good friend of mine had an abscess from L-carnitine on his prep, and it can definitely derail things if you do get a suture or an abscess from an injection. So I would rather not do that, but I don't want, I would definitely take the oral version. He said, yeah, I think liquid has some small benefit. And I said, okay, I'll order some. There are lots of specials going on with the Olympia. So there were a ton of specials with the Olympia. And he said, gotta love good deals. So that was it. And I texted him my weight last night and this morning. So that is the feedback I got. So he's still, at least as of today, we'll see what tomorrow, I'll check in tomorrow and see where we're at with cardio and just anything else. So that's all I've got for now. That was my check-in or my feedback for the week. Other than that, this week I don't have anything planned other than just the normal prep things. I do need to start thinking about starting to shave. I like to kind of just start, I would say, like knocking down the trees, just to get in the habit of it. I won't do like a razor shave until closer to the show, but just with the electric razor, just keeping all the hair kind of off, just like as a cycle. Like every day I just kind of shave something, like I shave my arms and then I shave like my shoulders and my back and my stomach, and you just kind of start shaving everything all the time so it's not such a big task like right before the show. Also need to start thinking about skin prep here in a couple of weeks, start doing some exfoliating, making sure I have all my stuff for my show day. I have decided, I know I haven't talked about suits at all on this prep. Like not once have I brought up a suit, except that I can't find my posing suit bottoms. Still can't. Maybe I'll find them when I start looking for all the stuff for my show day bag. I am going to wear my Angel Competition suit from a couple of seasons ago. It's beautiful, it's blue. I don't necessarily, well, I didn't love the cut of the bottoms, but after my debacle last year with the horrible suits from Angel Competition Bikini, I actually really don't mind the way they fit anymore. So I'm going to just plan on wearing that suit for my show day. So just make sure that I have it pulled out and it's clean and all that good stuff. But other than that, just a normal week. If you guys do have any questions, comments, thoughts, please leave those in the comment section below. And I will see you guys here in whatever comes next. So I finally did another session of posing with Tori this week, and it was incredible as always. The one thing that we really focused on was making me appear more muscular or bigger on stage. And the first change to that was in my front pose with just some subtle changes to the positioning of my support leg. So my left leg, I'm just angling my knee in, which kind of brings that quad forward and makes my legs look more balanced, like more equal in size and also bigger. So when my knee is kind of pulling back, it kind of thins out or strings out the leg. So pulling it forward really helped with that. And then we made some adjustments to my transition pose and some subtle adjustments in my back pose as well. Overall, I know I say this every time I post a video talking about Tori, like she's such an amazing coach. She has just such a great eye for really being able to see the way someone's posing and make adjustments that make sense and cues that make sense, and just really explains everything so well. So this was just a great session, and I am posing with her again in another week or so. Something that I really need to work a lot on and that I kind of struggle with is moving from my back pose back around. And so we spent a lot of time kind of talking about how to make that a more dynamic kind of move and really make sure I'm keeping my glutes up the whole time too, but not hinging or bending forward when I do that. So that's something I've been really focusing on, is kind of making a more, like taking less steps to get from the back to the front pose, and also just having a little more flair and a little more of a dynamic movement when I do that. And we're back. No, you do not need to adjust your television or your TV screen or phone screen. It is me. It is straight hair Amy. It is the end of the week, and I'm going to talk about my multiple check-ins from this week. Clearly, I've been playing around with my hair. My amazing assistant loaned me her Shark Flex Wrap, I think is what it's called, so that I could try that, because you guys know I had the Dyson to demo and it was malfunctioning. So I did try out the Shark, and for, you know, a person who doesn't really do their hair very often, aside from just washing it and letting it dry or putting it in a bun, I found it very easy to use, and I think it provided some good results. So I did, this is actually this is day 2, so I did a refresh on it. So it was good to do that, because I'm like, well, would I be able to touch it up during the day? Because, you know, between show, or between like the prejudging in the morning and then the night show, there is a lot of time, and depending on the weather and the tan and everything else, your hair can get kind of gross. So yeah, playing around with it, and we'll see how it goes. I feel like a completely different person with straight hair, and I always have, like, since I was a little kid. If I'd ever straighten my hair, like, it's like my alter ego. It doesn't feel like me. It feels so serious. So anyway, enough about my hair. Let's talk about my check-ins from the week. So if you remember from my intro, Tommy said that there were going to be some tough dig days coming, and he wanted me to check in on Wednesday. So I did. So I sent my check-in on Wednesday morning. I sent these pictures, here, and said, good morning. He said, we're getting tighter. He said, your food is made for today, right? And I said, always, but it can be frozen for another time. He said, no, you're good. We're going to run a hard dig diet for 3 days starting tomorrow. He said, you feeling okay? I said, I feel okay. He said, if you're not, I need to know, because this diet is going to hurt. And I said, I'm good. I'm just still really frustrated with feeling like I'm constantly bloated, and my lower abdomen is always distended. I really thought that removing basically everything from my diet would resolve the bloating and distension, but it hasn't. So he said, does it feel like bloating or just distension? And I said, both. So he asked me to start using some senna tea in the evenings. So he asked if I was using that, and I said, yes. And he said, move it to twice a day. So I'll do that. And I've said that. I said, I was actually thinking that this morning I will add in a cup post-workout. So I was on my walk this morning. I thought maybe I need to do that tea twice a day. So I will. He said, you're not going to like this, but you're basically lean enough to get on stage, just FYI. I said, I don't feel like I am. My legs are still feeling pretty thick. He said, yeah, I know you don't feel like you are, but I'm telling you, you are. I said, I know I have prep goggles. He said, that doesn't mean I'm not going to pull you leaner, but I'm not going to pull you so lean that you don't do well because of it. And I said, I trust you. And I do. He said, I got your back. So then he sent me the Dig Days diet, and it is brutal. So I had 3 days of basically pulled out anything that was left in my diet that was like fun. So took out all the berries, took out the potato, cut my rice, which is fine. So those were the big changes, and that's fine. I knew it was just going to be for 3 days. So that was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And of course, Saturday was my check-in day. So that was kind of how we left it. He said, this is for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I need check-in pics Saturday. And I said, got it. Like I said, you're pretty lean, so we don't need to dig too much further. And we are going to be able to really coast very soon. And I said, sounds good. So I set my weight. He's been asking me to set my weight morning and night. And I sent it the next morning and said, let the dig days begin. So that was how it went. Friday, I sent my weight. He said, here we go. Send me post-workout pictures, please. I said, it's my rest day. I can take pictures now or post-cardio. And he said, whenever you want. So I took pictures because I figured it was easier to take them before I did cardio, because then I wouldn't be all like sweaty throwing on my posing suit. So I sent these pictures. Here. So it was Friday morning, so just 2 days later. And he said, ah, yes, crank it now. That was it. All right, so then my normal check-in. So my regular check-in. Sent my weight. He said, send photos when you can, please. And I said, okay. He said, let me know how you're feeling, etc. And I said, I'll send pictures and my check-in soon. So I sent these pictures, Saturday morning pictures. I said, good morning, Tommy. Pretty normal week. I had a really good posing session yesterday. You guys saw the footage of that. We made changes to my front pose and transitions to make myself look curvier and bigger. Workouts have been good, overall feeling pretty good. I felt a little stimmed out the first few days because we did increase, or he added in an herbal supplement that is a little bit stimulating, so felt a little stimmed out because of that, but that leveled out. I set my weight from today and my weight from Saturday. I was down exactly 5 pounds. A lot can change in a week when you dig that deep. My average glucose, which was 83, which was up a little bit from last week. My average sleep score was an 85, which was down a little bit from last week. My resting heart rate was 56, which was up a little bit at the beginning of the week, but then it kind of leveled back out. That's what I told him. I said it's come down the last couple of nights. I sent my supplements, which aside from the, read more. Sometimes it won't show me the rest. I think that's about all I sent. I don't think I wrote anything else. So my supplements and what I'm doing for my workouts and cardio. So I still am doing my 6-day push-pull legs, and cardio is at 45 minutes on the stairs and no HIIT. So I have not done any HIIT for the last week, which has been really nice. And I guess when you're this deep into prep, like doing cardio is kind of no problem. You just get there and you just do it and you just like kind of trudge through it. And like I work really hard in cardio, but man, getting myself like mentally prepared to do those sprints in the morning was really hard. It's a lot of output, and it was just kind of like getting the mental, everything there to like do those was really hard. So that's been really nice. It's taken a lot of the mental stress out of it, which has been really nice. So he said, oh man, this is good shit. Cardio gets pulled for the next 4 days. We're likely, I don't want to jump on next week. He's so fast in getting back to me. So he said that we might be hitting a high day, but I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to read anything else. So that was my check-in for the week. I keep doing that because he's so quick. Like he literally responds before I have a chance to do anything. So it was, a lot. It was like kind of a roller coaster of a week. The week started out, I was feeling, like I said, pretty rough still. And then things have really progressed a lot toward the end of the week. It's always good to have a posing session with Tori. I really trust her assessment and her input, which is really nice. And she's very honest. She's one of those people, like she just really says it like it is. I don't feel like she would ever like bullshit me about something. I mean, she was the one, really when I was getting ready for the Fit Model show in the spring, she was the person who said to me like, yes, I see the distension. Like, yes, it's terrible. It was like, I felt like I've been being gaslit by everybody else about that. They're like, no, I don't see it. I'm like, well, you don't see it when I pose because I'm hiding it. But like, I was really able to talk to her about that. And that was really good. So really good to get that in. And then I will schedule with her next week. And hopefully, I only have a month left to my show, so a couple more times before she's actually traveling. She has a show the week before my show that she's traveling for. She's doing another Fit Model show. I think it'll be her 12th Fit Model show this year. It's crazy. I don't know how she, A, can afford to compete that often, and B, she's been in prep for like the whole year, which is just crazy. So that was my week. This coming week, I don't really have a whole lot planned. I do need to get on Tori's schedule again. I really would love to get in another session with Dr. Dove before my show, but I don't know if I mentioned this, like she pulled back on her coaching because she is also in prep and was just feeling a little bit overwhelmed with it. And so she's only really coaching her like really established athletes who are competing. So of course she works with Olympians and pro level athletes, and I am neither of those things. So I am not one of the ones that's a high priority for her, which is fine because I have still been practicing, but it'd just be good to get in another session, especially to talk to her kind of about how I can work with breathing and posing and all that kind of stuff, but we shall see. So that's all I got for this week. It was 34 degrees this morning. Fall is definitely upon us. So I hope wherever you are, there is sunshine and it's still hopefully feeling like fall and not like winter like it felt like here today. But wherever you are, please, please, please spread positivity and light to yourself and everyone around you. I appreciate you so much. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, whatever, leave those in the comment section below, and I will see you all here next time.